Nation of Fitin10, welcome to day 54. And listen, I only have three feedbacks so far for this week. 3. So send your feedback, please, ASAP. All right, so I'm not going to address any questions tonight because I only have about 3 entries to go through. So I'm going to talk about something that I'm surprised nobody's asked about, and that is fiber. Do we count fiber as a carbohydrate? And I guess if you don't know, then there's no reason for you to ask. But I usually get a question or two in the challenge about fiber. So do we count it or do we not? So let's talk about this. So when it comes to fiber, we really have 2 major different types of fiber. We've got, in a simplistic view, we've got insoluble and we got soluble. Insoluble just goes right through you. So this is actually counted as a carbohydrate, okay? But it just goes right through you. So we don't have the enzymes to break it down. We don't have the enzymes to convert it into sugar. So it really doesn't get absorbed. So you're not getting any caloric or you're not getting any sugar out of this. So it's gonna have 0 effect on your blood sugar level. In fact, it's going to, if anything, it's actually going to slow the release of any other sugar that you're getting through your diet. It's going to slow it down. So if anything, it's going to have a kind of a negative effect on the action of sugar on the bloodstream. Right? It's going to slow it down, which is a great thing. When it comes to soluble fibers, these can be a little bit different. There is a range of actual, I guess you could think of this as really caloric amount in terms of grams of different soluble fibers. And there's a huge range of soluble fibers. You can, I didn't look it up recently, but I remember, looking it up some time ago. And there's a huge different range of structures, molecular structures, of different types of soluble fibers. And depending on which one you get in your diet, or which ones, you're not going to get an even caloric amount, right? I think you probably all know by now, we assign 4 calories for every gram of carbohydrate, but really, in reality, this is just an estimate, or a sort of one-size-fits-all. It actually ranges from food to food, but on average, we're getting about 4 calories per gram. When it comes to soluble fiber, it actually ranges from 1 to to be honest with you, I really have to look it up again, but I remember seeing in the low 1s all the way up to 3 or maybe just over 3 calories per gram. So when you're eating these foods, you're not getting sort of the same, whether it's soluble or insoluble fiber, you're not getting the same effect that you do from, or that you would like from, a starch or a sugar, unless it's resistant starch, right? Which is actually what we call a soluble fiber. And did you know that green bananas are very high in this type of fiber, or what we call resistant starch? And it's actually a great nutrient for the bacteria in your intestinal tract. So what happens is the gut in your intestinal flora will feed on this resistant starch, and it will produce something called butyrate. And the butyrate is a great fuel for that, or for the different gut microbiota. And this is really important for keeping good gut health. So, green bananas are one of them. But another one is actually, if you may know this, you probably don't, but you may, is potatoes. If you boil potatoes and then you cool them, well, potatoes in general have resistant starch, but when you cook them, you get less and less, or you convert a lot of that resistant starch into just a regular starch. Excuse me, but if you cool them, you're going to get more resistant starch. So on average, cold potatoes or room temperature potatoes have about 4.5 grams of resistant starch for every 100 grams. So in 100 grams of potato, you're going to get, in terms of carbs, you're going to get somewhere around 25 grams of carbs. So about 20% of those carbs is actually resistant starch. Starch that doesn't actually have any effect on your, you can kind of think of these as like, you may have heard the term net carbs. So they're sort of like, they're not net carbs, right? They're not carbs that are really affecting you. Or affecting you very, very little. Not affecting your blood sugar levels, maybe contributing, maybe, but not, if anything at all, not very much, to a little bit of your overall energy intake, but certainly not contributing to as a sugar. And as I mentioned before, right, with solubles going right through you, right? Insolubles going right through you. So kind of interesting. So green bananas, cooled potatoes, these are two foods that are high in resistant starch and good for your gut. Okay, so there you go. And it's like food, right? Actually, I don't even know. Let's take a look right now, actually. I'm curious to know how much resistant starch in a green banana. So let's take a look right now. I'm going to try to do this as quickly as I can. Resistant starch amount in green banana. Let's see. Bananas, approximately 70 to 80% of their dry weight is starch, specifically resistant starch. So, but the thing is as they're ripening, right, that resistant starch is becoming more into sugar. But kind of interesting, right? It says during this stage, approximately 70 to 80% of their dry weight is starch, specifically resistant starch. I don't know how accurate that is. That's the first thing that pulls up on Google, and that's from a website called Nutreat. So interesting. All right, let's get the message of the day. So back to I should probably just say, when it comes to starch, technically you definitely don't have to count insoluble fiber, because that goes through you. And the soluble fiber, well, it doesn't act exactly like a starch or a sugar would. So it's not going to have the same kind of energy effect. So the more of this you have in your diet, the better. There's a lot of benefits, obviously. You probably know about bowel movements. But the better effect you're going to have on sugar, and of course, the less net calories, essentially, you're going to get. The less net sugar, okay? Keeping it in a very simplistic sense. And you're going to get some bulk, right? Which can help fill you up. And if you're having resistant starch, very good for the gut bacteria. All right, let's get to the message of the day. On this day 54, in order to see change, you have to will the change. In order to see change, you have to will the change. Sometimes it seems to me like people join the challenge. I'm not speaking to you directly. You guys are, in general, doing very, very good. But it seems like sometimes, and this is not an all or nothing thing, of course, but it's almost like sometimes people join the challenge and it's almost like, well, I joined it, I'm showing up, I should see the results. But you have to will the results, right? You have to make things happen. And of course, I cannot stress this enough with respect to the diet. So in order to see change, you have to will the change. Of course, we know this when we're in the gym and we're training, right? We have to put that effort in, especially with weight training, because it's you pushing the weight, right? It's not like, what would be a good example? It's not like getting on a treadmill, right? Treadmill, you turn on, you have to just respond to the treadmill, right? The treadmill speeds up, you just kind of respond to it. You still have to put emphasis into it. Obviously you're still working, but with weights, it's like, okay, you have to it comes from your brain. I mean, everything comes from your brain, obviously, but in particular, that force output, you have to really will it, right? And then you see change. But in general, in order for you to see change, and obviously this applies to everything in life, you have to will it, you have to want it, you have to put your energy into it, you have to put your enthusiasm into it. You have to put all of that want into it, right? You have to put that passion into it, or maybe it's not passion, but maybe it's that drive for that end result, right? You have to put it into it. You have to will it, okay? In order to see change, you have to will the change. Okay, and just like I said, where there's a will, there is a way. When you want something, you'll find a way to do it. I truly believe that. Anything I've wanted bad enough in life, I found a way to do it. And anything I've said I've wanted and haven't done, I just realized I just didn't really want that bad. So positive energy, positive vibes, believe in yourself for the love of God, give some gratitude. We got 16 days to go, if you can believe that, 16 days. And I'll talk to you guys all tomorrow. Please send in your feedback. Let me know what's on your mind. Let me know with respect of anything I can help you with. Send me your journal entries as well. All right, we'll talk to y'all soon. See you guys.